Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cool Water Show, where we're a podcast that talks about everything in the Real Housewives universe over here on Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. My name is Kari. I'm joined by my co-host Katie. Katie, it is a Sunday night. How are your Sunday scaries going?
Feeling pretty scared right now. Personally, I'm going to be in the office a couple of times next week, so it's kind of stressing me out. But you know what? We're here. I'm ready. Let's talk about these ladies. I'm doing good. It feels like the weekend has been longer than a usual weekend, which is weird. So I feel like that's a good thing.
Interesting. I felt like my Sunday flew by, but that's probably because my next doctorate class starts tomorrow, and they put the content up today. So I tried to get a jump start on reading. So I was being an academic today, reading, taking notes. Yeah, despite what some of you may think, because of the stupid shit I say,
No.
I am in pursuit of a doctorate degree. So sooner rather than later, I won't respond to anything besides Dr. Dahlia.
Love it.
I'm going to change my Twitter name.
Yes,
Anyway,
you should.
We had 3 episodes of Real Housewives to cover this week. We have Beverly Hills, we have Ultimate Girls Trip, and we have Atlanta. And Atlanta was an hour and 15 minutes as opposed to an hour.
Yes, which is strange.
Yeah, an hour and 15.
Hour and 15 is weird.
I text you and was like, is this a 90-minute episode? And then it's like, no, it's an hour and 15, which is just a weird time to do that.
Very weird.
Whatever. Live your life, Andy. I don't judge you. I actually judge you, but
yeah, no, I judge you a lot, but not
for this. It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's dive right into Beverly Hills. We saw a lot of previews for this week's Beverly Hills on social media this week that I felt like the biggest parts we already saw before the episode, because people were apologizing in their Instagram stories. There's comments being made. There's tweets. It's just a whole goddamn mess over in Beverly Hills.
It really is a mess in Beverly Hills. It's a huge mess. It's just a huge mess. There's nothing more to say about it other than that.
Yeah, and I think we have quickly figured out, not that some of us haven't, especially Katie. Katie has had Kyle clocked for 10 plus years now. Yeah. But Kyle really showed some colors this episode. So we jump into it where we're back at Garcelle's party. Sutton, Kyle, and Diana are finishing up Sutton and Diana's conversation that Kyle is there for no other reason than being drunk and
producing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kyle accuses Sutton of lying about having 2 miscarriages. So Sutton tries to connect with Diana because, as we know, Diana is supposed to be on bed rest from the miscarriage she had about 2 months ago. And she decided to come out anyway tonight. She didn't want Garcelle to think she was rude. And so Sutton, in the midst of I'm sorry you're on bed rest, but why are you here? Apology, which is a whole fucking other confusing thing that we talked about last time.
Yeah.
She said, I had 2 miscarriages, and Kyle's like, no, you didn't. I didn't know that.
It's just wild to me that Kyle feels like it's her place at all to, one, know Sutton's reproductive health and her history, because who are you to have any insight into Sutton's reproductive health? And second of all, just because she doesn't have the insight into her health and her reproductive health history, to question what she's saying.
Right.
I would never in my life think to, if someone told me that they had suffered a miscarriage or 2 miscarriages, especially, to say that this seems like bullshit right now.
Kyle did, though.
Who gave this woman the audacity is all I have to say.
Probably her mother. But
yeah, that's true.
So this conversation is continuing to happen in the rockiest of ways. Kyle at one point is manhandling Sutton. She's forcing herself, she's holding Sutton's arms, somewhat pushing her. It got way too physical for a conversation that Kyle had no reason to be a part of. Physical. And at one point, Kyle said, she lost a baby, you didn't. Hers is recent. Yours isn't. We don't even know about yours. Kyle just was ugly in this.
Yep. her true colors really came out. Her "you're a liar and you're sick and an alcoholic" from season 1 colors really shone through here, and hiding the crutches of Brandy in season 2. Like, this is the true Kyle. She's done a really good job, I think, especially because Vanderpump has been off the show for the last couple of seasons, and I think because she has this group insulating her, almost like it's like a strategy show now that we're watching, but she has this like alliance of girls, so she's been on top for a while. She's been able to hide her true self because she hasn't had to have it come out, but it's really showing. It's really showing here.
Mm-hmm. And from this, there's Instagram apologies, which we can get to a little bit later in the episode because there's other things that she's going to apologize for than just this scene. So, do you hear Nitro digging at the carpet right now?
I do.
That is my dog digging at the carpet. Hey, Nitro. What? He's so weird. Like, he's digging carpet. He does this all the time before he lays down. But the carpet in my apartment is this like weird, it's almost like woven in a way. So he'll like catch his nail on it, which then pulls it up, and then he'll like continue to pull it up. So there's a good thing we aren't expecting a security deposit back when we move because of you, Nitro. But anyway, I got him to stop with a treat. Here you go. 1, 2, 3, catch. Oh, nice try. Not an athlete, but nice try. Okay, so anyway, before this conversation ends, Sutton calls Diana soulless and a motherfucker. And then Diana's like, well, and Sutton said, like, you're the devil. And Diana was like, I don't know, are you? And oh no, Sutton said that Diana's looking at her like she's the devil, and Diana asked, like, I don't know, are you? Yeah. And somehow, some way, these two very forcibly hug each other. It was the most awkward hug I've seen in a little while. And Nitro's back to digging, but we're just gonna ignore him.
We can ignore.
So yeah, this conversation, it doesn't end well. It thankfully ends, but it doesn't end well.
Yeah, she also called Sutton basically a call girl because she said, I have your number. It's 867-5309. And that song is about, I guess, a hooker. So that was her very subtle way, or not so subtle, but I guess sly way of calling Diana what many accuse her to be. So
I didn't realize what that reference was. I was like, why are you using that phone number? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, that is why.
That makes sense now because I definitely didn't write it down. Once this conversation ends, both Sutton and Diana leave the party. Erica is hammered on the couch sitting next to Dorit with her snakeskin glove jumpsuit thing. Something. I don't even know how to describe that besides ugly. And Erica's just yelling to Garcelle Hammer, where's your hot son? And Erica calls Oliver, the hot son, over, tells him he's hot. And in this moment, I thought that Garcelle was like doing a good job of taking this in stride.
Oh, yeah. I think she did a great job too. I think she realized that Erica was wasted. So there was no reason to kind of further it along, but this was like so inappropriate.
Yeah. Erica offers him a threesome with him and his wife.
I don't even know what to say about that. And this lady is a mess. She's a full-on mess.
Which Garcelle says in a confessional. She's like, Erica needs to reassess her life.
And she does. And she does.
So Oliver walks away, and then Jax, the 14-year-old son, walks back over because there was flowers that he was grabbing for Garcelle. And Erica tells him to get the fuck out of here before he gets into trouble. And as soon as Jax gets back outside to his mom, he was like, I got yelled at for getting the flowers. And she's like, who yelled at you? And Jax immediately ratted out Erica and said, she told me to get the fuck out.
Yeah, and not only did she say, like, get the fuck out of here before you get into trouble, she was, like, yelling at him to get the fuck out. It was not like, you got to get the fuck out of here because you're going to get into trouble. She was like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. And so, yeah, she was really going in.
Yeah.
To a 14-year-old.
Yes. which we later see that she thought was 16, but it really doesn't change the fact that you are yelling at someone's underage kid who did absolutely nothing except come pick up some flowers for his mother at her birthday party.
Yeah. Yeah.
The party ends, and we get maybe like a next day, a day after, Garcelle doing one of the things that I don't like, which is talking to her glam team about shit, because those conversations should be had with other housewives. But they were making fun of Kyle's dancing.
As they should, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That shit's embarrassing.
I saw a thread on Reddit that accused her of maybe not just have had having too much to drink, and the evidence was I don't know much about this stuff, but the evidence I read from people who were like, I use this and I see commonalities.
Interesting.
So, and they're like, that would explain.
Were people doing cocaine in your bathroom? Is that what we're asking? Okay.
That phrase did actually come up exactly in the Reddit thread. So I'm not going to accuse her of it, 'cause I don't know anything about cocaine. I'm afraid to put anything up my nose. So
same.
That I'm just saying, if you're interested in seeing what some people who know far more than me about it have to say, it's on one of the 2 Bravo Housewives threads.
Interesting.
Or subreddits.
Read it.
So Garcelle also tells her glam squad about how Erica spoke inappropriately to Jax, and she says that Erica needs to figure out her drug to cocktail ratio.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree. She does.
I think you're allowed to have like a boat outing like that. The one a couple episodes ago
is fine, and especially because she was not super inappropriate to anybody. I think she did ask Crystal if like her and her husband wanted to have a threesome with her and Garcelle, which is not a threesome, but she did. It was ask. 4. Yeah. But like, whatever. You're talking to your girlfriend. It's fine. It's not like you're not super offensive, but to act like this to the family of somebody who you're supposed to be friends with or is a coworker of yours, really, at the end of the day, is completely inappropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. I also just think that even if you remove all of the housewife shit from it, I think you're allowed to have your vacation. Oh shit, I didn't realize the effect that drinking has on like the drugs that I'm taking. And that moment, like, that's kind of like a safe space for it to happen, but you've had it happen to you once. So at that point, when you are at an event like a birthday party, especially when the woman's kids are there, I think it's less, I don't want to say forgivable, but you need to have your shit a little bit more lined up. You are in your 40s. Like, you
51.
Oh shit. You are 51. It's not your first beer.
Right. And that's exactly what I was going to say. As a 51-year-old woman, you need to be held accountable, or you need to be able to be accountable for yourself and say, like, I need to know my limits here. I understand she's going through a shift in her life. I don't want to say she's going through a lot of things, because you guys know how I feel about Erica in general and her potential involvement, or her, even if she wasn't involved, just her empathy around the situation. So I'm not going to say she's going through something, but like, and I'm not making her the victim, but like, you need to know that, like, oh, okay, this is my limit. I'm an adult. I'm a grown-ass woman, and this is inappropriate for me to be acting this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, after this, we get Crystal taking Dorit to a self-defense class. Dorit mentions, like, yeah, PK is in London, and she has to get used to PK traveling again. She also says that her kids still don't know what happened.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't care about this, to be honest. I feel bad saying that. I don't care about Dorit or this storyline. But it is I guess if your kids don't know, that's probably for the best, so they're not afraid.
There's going to become a point, though, where those kids learn how to Google. And like, I get not telling them now. I'm just interested in, like, knowing what their game plan is. And maybe this is at because I worked with kids for 11 plus years that I'm interested in knowing that. Because no matter what, like, this is some sort of trauma, whether you know now or whether you find out when they think you're old enough to know or something. But I did think it was interesting to hear that because I also think that, like, I don't know, this is my opinion. I'm not a medical professional by any means, but for me, I would think, like, okay, this happened. They're going to find out. If I tell them now and start having them work with a therapist now when they are young and they think it's normal, not that having a therapist isn't normal. I don't want that to be the stigma at all. Like, I've gone to therapy and it's been one of the best things I've ever done. But just kind of like dealing with it now while it's still fresh versus then when you're older and like going back and questioning everything. Because then,
like, I mean, it's going to make them question their entire reality of growing up.
Right. So I just found that to be interesting and wanted to bring it up because, I mean, like, I don't know if I agree with that decision, but it's at least in the grand scheme of things, like, it seems around this time it's Thanksgiving because is it this episode or last episode that they're in the kitchen making a turkey for Friendsgiving? So it's a month after this has happened. Obviously, like, a month's not a lot of time, but I just wonder.
Yeah, I would, I mean, I don't know what I would do if it were me, but from an outsider watching this play out and what my perspective is, maybe when the show airs is the best time to mention it to the kids and say, like, this thing happened a couple of months ago. We didn't want you to get scared. We've been dealing with it. It's going to air on TV. We want you to know that it happened or something like that. Because it's far enough removed where it's like not an immediate threat to them anymore. If these people come back or whatever. But it will be out there in the ether. And obviously her kids are not old enough to be like, I mean, who knows? Maybe they are old enough to be in school with kids that are going to be like, oh, your house. I don't know. Parents talk and
Jagger is like, oh, that's not how you spell Jagger. Dorit's son age. He's 8.
Yeah, like, he could very easily find out about this at school.
Yeah, you got to tell your kids. You have to tell your kids.
Yeah.
That's prime, like, Santa isn't real age. You know, that some loudmouth asshole kid comes in and it's like,
absolutely,
I'm gonna ruin everybody's life right now. That's the same. No, you gotta,
absolutely.
Kids are smarter than you give them credit for a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time.
Yeah, definitely.
After this, we get Kyle and Sutton at dinner, and this conversation sucked.
Kyle just is digging and digging and digging herself a deeper hole.
For her to say that, like, Sutton is hard to apologize to is, because Sutton doesn't shut up. But it's like, Kyle, you keep interrupting her when she's trying to make a point.
Right. And this isn't a one-sided thing here. Like, you don't get to just say your piece and then not have someone respond to it.
And Kyle should be thankful that Sutton is like, it's okay that you said that I made up my miscarriages. Like, for Sutton to not lose her fucking shit on Kyle, and for Kyle to be the one you're difficult to apologize to, like, that's because you're difficult in general, Kyle.
Yeah, you're difficult to be friends with. You're a fake person.
Kyle says Sutton's hard to have a conversation with, and she apologizes for saying that Sutton made up her miscarriages, and Sutton's like, you have no idea what you're coming into, but Sutton's like, we mean a lot to each other. I don't know. I wish Sutton would hold Kyle's feet to the fire here.
I do
in
too.
The same way that Kyle was trying to hold Sutton's feet to the fire when she made the, like, oh, well, I'm sorry I didn't have a gun to my head comment. Okay, these comments to me are on the same level.
I almost think questioning someone's miscarriage is worse than saying at least I didn't have a gun to my head. Or like, maybe I didn't have a gun to my head.
Yeah. And regardless, they're both shitty.
But like, you're so morally offended that Sutton said, well, it's not like I had a gun held to my head, but you think it's okay for you to question her having 2 miscarriages. And you will literally say to her face, this sounds like bullshit. What?
Yeah.
Or even invalidating her experience and saying, well, Diana's just happened. What does that mean?
Sutton should be on Son's being too kind in this.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. I'm going to open my door because my washer and dryer is done, and I think it's going to get Nitro to stop doing what he's doing. So if you just want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, I'll be back in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, well, I do have something else I do want to say about this dinner is that the pasta looked incredible, and I'm happy that these women are eating real food because usually in Beverly Hills we don't see them eating real food. But Kyle's penne, I don't know, was it penne al vodka or whatever it was? It looked amazing. I'm talking about the food and how amazing it looked. Sutton was having gnocchi. Kyle had some kind of, was it pasta penne al vodka? I don't know.
It looked delicious. Like penne al vodka.
Looked amazing, and I was like, this makes me want to have pasta for dinner.
I had pasta for lunch and got it on my new Taylor Swift sweatshirt. And then my roommate got home and was like, you got pasta bowl without me? And I was like, to be fair, it wasn't good this time.
No, it wasn't good, and you stained your... Well,
yeah,
it's being remedied.
Hopefully it's being remedied. Yeah. If it's not, I'm going to be so upset. I waited 3 months for that sweatshirt to be sent to me.
Oh my God.
Yes. I don't know. Taylor Swift is like, let's put up merch and then not send it for 3 months. Thanks, Taylor. But it's fine. I always need sweatshirts because this room is cold. But we keep going. I'm skipping over the Kyle Mauricio talk about the family getting bigger and going straight to Lisa.
Could not care less about that.
Right. Lisa visits Diana. And so they talk about Diana's Thanksgiving, which was also her daughter's birthday. Rinna says, oh my God. Rinna says the holidays were difficult without her mom. I have to tell you something.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Chicago?
Yes.
Okay. So there's Lakeshore Drive, which is like the highway along the lake.
Okay.
And on Thursday, I was driving home from work to go pick up Nitro from daycare. And the car in front of me, a bird was flying and it just hit the bird and killed it. And do you know that I thought of Lisa Rinna's mom?
Oh my God. Oh my God, Lois.
I was like, Lois! Literally in my car, Lois. I yelled Lois. I'm just like, oh man.
Wow. Lois been through it.
I've been meaning to tell you that, and then just seeing
I'm happy that you did
come up.
Oh my God.
I was like,
wait, but that poor bird though, for real.
Oh yeah,
that person just like ran over the bird. That's terrible.
They didn't even like. I think like the bird kind of like just landed at the wrong time, and like there was nothing that car could have done about it. It was bang bang, literally. But yeah, I was like, oh, Rinna's mom. Maybe she should have picked a more particular bird. But anyway,
yeah.
So Rinna says like holidays were difficult without her mom, but then they talk about Garcelle's party. So Diana just tells Rinna everything that happened, including the bed rest comment, the soulless comment, the motherfucker comment. And Diana says that she translates motherfucker literally as someone who fucks their mother, which like...
How long has Diana lived in an English-speaking country? A long time, I'm pretty sure.
Because she was in the UK before this, wasn't she?
Yes. So, like, I'm not saying, like, there's not going to be any language barrier coming into play here, but, like, you've never heard of motherfucker before? Okay,
but my other question is, like, what... Is there a different meaning?
Well, also, yeah, like, isn't that what it means?
Yeah. Like, if you're calling someone a motherfucker, you're saying... Because, I mean, it's not polite to fuck someone's mother most of the time. Unless it's like, can I call my dad a motherfucker? Because, like, that's who should be fucking my mom. Like, is that legal? I mean...
yeah, I guess.
But otherwise, like, if you're calling someone a motherfucker, chances are it's not a good thing. And
no. I also kind of take it to mean, like, you're fucking your own mother.
Oh.
As well. I don't know. Is that, like, the...
Oh. Maybe.
Like, you're a motherfucker. Like, you fuck your mother. Like, fuck your mother. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure that it has all of the meanings.
I think it probably,
not just one.
Yeah.
But regardless...
It's an umbrella term.
Yeah. It's just, you say it when you really want to make a point. So Diana not understanding it. I guess she did understand it, but thinks she didn't understand it. Whatever. So... Valencia in the chat's like,
sorry, Valencia.
Sorry. Listen, I gotta report the news, you know?
Yes, we're just being journalists here.
This is just integrity to the content we're covering. Anyway, Diana says she feels like Sutton was trying to one-up her with the miscarriages and that the next time they fly somewhere, they can fly commercial because she won't provide the jet.
So much talk about these jets, and I just like do not care. You should
Mm-hmm.
be flying commercial, save the environment. How about that?
How about we take a train, like light
How about
rails?
we just don't have you on the show anymore so we don't even have to worry about this? That would be my suggestion.
Great point. So this serves as like some foundation for some stuff that'll happen at the end of the episode. I don't think we really need to get too much into it now, but we
The
move
one
on
thing I
to
just don't understand about, sorry to interrupt,
no
is that
go.
Diana clearly has no concept of what like actual human interaction is like, because it's very normal and common for someone to try and like empathize with you based on a situation that they've also been through that's similar. It's not a one-upping. It's just like, I know I've been through it, so I know what you're going through. It's not like a, well, I had 2 miscarriages and you only had 1. So that's not what it was. Same with
Yeah.
Sutton's father and his suicide. She wasn't saying, oh, well, it was like, she was like, I'm relating to you because I lost someone very suddenly and didn't get a chance to say goodbye, and it was a traumatic experience. I relate to you. And even Sutton said, I held that conversation like close to me. Like, you know, that meant a lot to me because
Yeah.
I was relating to you. And Diana just does not have an understanding of what a human interaction is like.
No, I don't think she does. And I think it isn't helped by the fact that she's very annoyed by Sutton. And so even if Sutton is coming in with the best of intentions, Diana's not going to take it that way.
No.
And it's just a lost cause. I mean, for me, I think everything that's been said is there's a lot. However, I would love to see Sutton just be okay like she was with Erica not liking her in terms of
Yeah.
Diana. Like that whole conversation to me just like didn't need to happen because I don't
No,
think
it did not.
Sutton went up with like the best of intentions to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry you were
No.
on bed rest, but you're here."
Yeah.
And then try to say like, "Oh, well, I'm trying to connect with her." Like, yeah, you're able to, but you're in this situation just because you tried to
Exactly.
like corner her for her decisions. Like she's an adult if she's supposed to be on bed rest and is here. Like you're not her doctor and you're not her mother and you're not her husband. Like it doesn't
Yep.
matter.
Yep.
So I wish Sutton would feel okay with just Diana not liking her. Because to me, I think we've reached the peak of this conflict. I don't think anything else can happen that's going to make it more interesting. So let's either keep it moving or
Yeah.
stop bringing it up. But Lisa
Exactly.
Rinna's not going to get that memo. So,
No. She just needs to remain or make herself feel like she's remaining relevant and in the mix because she missed an episode
mhm.
and no one's talking about her.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, we get Kyle hosting Dorit and PK for dinner with Mauricio. And we get more Kyle being rude, where she basically says, like, I'm okay with she didn't say I'm okay with what Erica said to
She
Jax, but
essentially kind of did.
yeah,
She
she
was
was
like
like,
laughing about it.
ha ha ha, it's nice seeing this lighter side. There wasn't any sort of, she shouldn't have said that. Why is she talking to a 14-year-old that way? Dorit made a comment like, it was funny because it wasn't my kid, but it is
Well,
nice to see
yeah.
Erica that way.
Yeah. And I'm just looking up how old. Okay, so Portia, her daughter, is 14. If Erica spoke to Portia in the same way that she spoke to Jax, it would be the end of the world. Well, maybe
Mm-hmm.
not because they have this like crazy allegiance to each other, but Kyle would not be laughing about it. If
Right.
anybody, if Garcelle told Portia to get
Yes.
the fuck out of
Yes.
here, then we would never hear the end of it. So this is such a double standard to me, and especially coming from someone like Erica, who all Eileen said was something about, I don't even remember what she said about her son in that
Oh,
episode. Her grown ass adult male
yeah.
son who's a
Like,
police officer.
yeah.
And she said, don't talk about, and she went, you don't know what I deal through every night. Never talk about my son. That's the way that she reacted about her adult son. But these women think it's okay to bring up this, to say this to this 14-year-old boy. And I don't think, it's not lost on me that Garcelle and obviously her kids are black. So why is it okay to talk to the young black boy
Mm-hmm.
like this. Black boys are always treated as if they're older than what they are. And
Mm-hmm.
like Garcelle, I mean, Erica is treating him like he's like a grown ass man, and she could talk to him like a grown ass man, and he's not. He's a child. So treat him like a child and have the same care and like love for someone else's child, whether they're white or black or Asian or anything, any race or denomination, that you would for your own. And these women do not, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, I just don't like that because there is this allegiance, alliance, friendship, or whatever that we get this being okay. Where if, I mean, imagine if they said it to Dorit's kids, or I don't know. It's just, I'm so sick of it. Because it also just makes for two sides and you don't get like an integrating, like I think to me the most interesting part of this season so far is Sutton and Erica's budding,
Yeah.
I don't know, acquaintanceship, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, that like, because we're getting one from one side, one from the other, who are, you know, making baby steps to making things okay. And I'm enjoying seeing that grow. Otherwise, just having the 3 on one side, the 5 on the other, and then, I mean, even the friendly fire within Crystal and Sutton, and just, I'm just so over it.
Yeah. I think it's time for some kind of a change. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get the change that we want to see, but it's not working. It hasn't been working for quite a while.
After after this dinner, which is the other thing that Kyle apologized about in her Instagram story, by the way. So she apologized both for what she said to Sutton, how she was physical with Sutton, and then how it seemed like they were laughing this off. She apologized for all that on Instagram. Whatever. So we get a quick bit at Garcelle's where Cherie shows up and Garcelle tells Cherie everything that happened with Erica at the party. And then we keep it moving on to Sutton's new house where she is hosting lunch for the women. And I wrote, I don't want to be a part of this group of friends for a variety of reasons, but mostly because they dress up to go to each other's houses.
That's fair.
I think I wrote that in the Atlanta episode too. So, you know, just reviewing my notes, and they get so dressed up.
Yeah.
I mean, post-pandemic Kari, I'm sweatpants and sweatshirt all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, Garcelle refuses a drink because she wants to have a clear head when she talks with Erica. And in a confessional, we get Erica being like, yeah, I'm afraid of the Haitian mom that I've offended. So Erica knows something's up because she had a conversation with who
Crystal?
on a walk? Yeah, okay, Crystal. And that's where we found out that like Erica thought that he was 16. And
but when
like,
she said that, and Erica has a problem with other people's kids because she did this to Denise too. It's like she has no respect for how mothers want to treat their children. Like Denise was not okay with them talking about having threesomes in front of her 15-year-old daughter, which is reasonable. Sure, they're 15 and maybe you should think about it if you're having like kids at an adult party, fine, whatever. But like respect that then and just be like, sorry, my bad. Instead, Erica said she probably already had a threesome and was then attacking her daughter. She also now is saying, well, he's 16. Let's not get it. First of all, 16 is still a kid. He's a kid. You don't tell someone's kid you're 51. You do not tell someone else's child to shut the fuck up or get the fuck out of here. Like, you just don't do it. It's not your place to ever do that or treat someone's kid like that. And she came for Garcelle talking about Rinna's daughter in her book. And she didn't talk about Rinna's daughter. She said that Rinna gave her an eating disorder or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really more about Rinna. And she came hard for her about discussing a teenage girl. So it's okay when it's Amelia, whatever her name is, who, Hamlin, I guess. They're Hamlins?
Yeah, it's Amelia
who's also
Hamlin.
dating a grown-ass man. Well, not anymore, but was dating Scott Disick at the time. Like, she's a fucking adult. You want to get sensitive about that? Give me a break. Mm-hmm. And you're using this kid maybe is 16 to defend yourself and you want to get on your high horse about it. He's not 16. He's 14. And even if he was, it's still not okay.
What I also think is not okay is that Erica came in and just didn't immediately pull Garcelle to the side.
She's trash. She's just trash.
The fact that she comes in, says hello to everyone, she says she's only gonna have one drink. Like, you had your moment there when it was the two of you making very uncomfortable eye contact that
Yep. Garcelle was just like, hey. Like, she was not having it.
Pull her to the side, get that apology out of the way, and be done with it, because the thing that's gonna happen is gonna be brought up at that stupid lunch table, and it's just become a screaming match that loses the point, where you could actually have a meaningful conversation, because I also think Garcelle would be the one to tell her, like, listen, I've now seen you in a couple instances where you've been drinking, and I am concerned that your behavior is going to, like, this wasn't great consequence to your behavior, but I'm afraid that something worse will happen if you continue to do this. Like, I don't think Garcelle's going to hold any punches. And I think that as tough as Erica is, or at least pretends to be, she also does listen to direct feedback like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We are going to see it, I think, next week. There have been previews out already of the episode. And Kyle's just a mess again. So just prepare yourself if you haven't seen those.
Oh, I haven't seen them yet. So that's good to know. All right. We get the women getting ready to go sit at the table and they all change into different pairs of Sutton's flip-flops and like fur vests and jackets because the backyard is so wet, and their heels, they don't want to get them stuck in the mud, which made me laugh a little bit. Also, what made me laugh was Rinna's outfit. What the fuck was that?
Rinna's crazy.
So some conversation happens. Dorit tells the women that she's struggling to be alone and doesn't like driving because she's usually by herself when she's driving. And then it turns to Garcelle telling Sutton she thinks it's rude that Diana didn't tell Sutton directly that she wasn't showing up.
Right.
So
it is rude.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just a text message.
Right.
And Sutton says she doesn't like the passive-aggressive behavior that Diana shows. And Lisa says, oh, that's funny because you are constantly passive-aggressive. And then Rinna asks if Sutton called Diana soulless and a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Rinna, why is this your issue?
Rinna, I don't know why. Yeah, why do you need to be involved?
You were literally
not there.
Exactly what I was about to say. Like,
you don't know
you
what
are the last
was.
person who should be saying something.
I hate these women, Kari. I hate them all.
Well, good news is we're done with that episode.
Yeah.
So
very good news. Almost nothing happened.
Yeah, and I had said to you earlier before we started, I'm like, this seemed like the easiest episode to get through.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because like all the yelling and screaming was at the beginning and the end, and in the middle was kind of just like filler content. But let's put it this way. I'm excited for the fact that we don't skip weeks of Beverly Hills because it's on a Wednesday versus like not airing it on a long weekend like we've had happen twice with Atlanta, because I want this season to be done as soon as possible.
Me too. I'm over it. I'm very much over it. I think this episode I read had like the highest ratings and they hit like over 1 million viewers. So that scares me because we need a shakeup of this cast. Like, we cannot have this Fox Force 4, I guess, at this point anymore. We needed a trigger warning on the screen for when we saw Teddy for the 0.2 seconds that she was in that video from Thanksgiving. Like, I can't do it anymore with these women.
The good news is we're only going to get into more batshit craziness with what we're covering next, which is Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, also known as RHOBH. And you gave me a forewarning where you were like, you text me. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I remember being like, should I be scared or excited? And you were like, probably both.
Yeah, I think I mentioned how unhinged. I was just like, it's more unhinged than any of the other episodes so far. I don't know if you agreed with that assessment or not, but it was a lot.
I feel like it's hard because the first 3 just all blend together because of how I watch them. So this whole experience to me is just crazy in the worst way.
Yeah. When I saw that this was episode 5, I was like, what? But you're right. The first 3 are like one long, unhinged, crazy episode. And then, so this really feels like episode 3 to me, but it's episode 5.
Yeah.
Which means we only have 3 more.
I'm okay with that.
I'm also okay with it.
I was texting with someone that's in Sister District because when I met with them, I brought up our podcast and she was like, I love Real Housewives. I think I was watching an episode before our meeting or something, and that's why I like talked about it. And so she had to text me about something else today, and she was like, by the way, I just started Ultimate Girls Trip season 2. And I was like,
good luck.
She's like, I'm only 1.25 episodes in. I was like, oh, well, you're in for it. I cannot wait to hear what you think about Brandy and Dorinda, especially. And we agreed that the biggest disservice that has been done is that Tamara is here with Vicky, and that we deserve Tamara on an Ultimate Girls Trip without Vicky.
I didn't hate Vicky in this episode.
Oh, I didn't hate Vicky in this episode either. I just think that we deserve Tamara without Vicky, period. I think that Tamara caters to Vicky because she wants Vicky to be liked, where Tamara helps Vicky's likability. Where if Tamara doesn't have to worry about keeping, I mean, especially in this situation where she just broke up with what's-his-face and she was sick and all this stuff, like if she didn't have to worry about any of that and we get full-fledged Tamara,
yeah,
because Vicky is not even in like my last spot of people on this whole thing.
No, this whole episode felt myself, and even in the last episode, felt myself agreeing a lot with Vicky, versus obviously like a Dorinda.
Yeah.
And these are the times where I feel like when Vicky's fun or funny, that's what I'm like, I wouldn't be mad if she was back on the show. I don't think I want her back, like ultimately, but after she got that boost of steroids, I don't remember who said it, but they were like, the steroids worked. They did. She's like a different person now.
I also think that this just wasn't the place to have Vicky, because
this isn't the place to have any of them. That's
correct.
My ultimate opinion.
Absolutely correct. But of all of them, the worst one to have here is Vicky, because she wants to go out and get drunk, and none of these places are. First of all, it's clearly like during the middle of COVID anyway, so like none of these places are meant for it. Vicky clearly doesn't care about that, but
clearly,
like we put Vicky on like season 4 of this, where they're able to go out to clubs and she can be drunk Vicky. But no, I want Tamara without Vicky, because I think that Tamara could have made this experience a bit more fun. And I also think that Dorinda is at such odds with Vicky in like a power dynamic, because you know, Vicky's like the OG, whatever. That's another reason where I don't know. I just wish we got Tamara without Vicky, and it's not as much a shot at Vicky as it is like I just think Tamara can make any girls trip better.
Yeah, I feel like Tamara's not doing much right now to stand out to me. So it would be interesting to see how she would be without Vicky around, to see if she would stand out more. But yeah, I would almost argue maybe let's get Vicky without Tamara.
Yeah, I mean, I would take that too. I do think that Vicky without Tamara is probably a bit more volatile.
Oh yeah, for sure.
She's definitely causing some issues, and I would take that too, though. I mean,
yeah,
this season, I get the idea. It's falling flat for me in terms of the effect that Dorinda hosting at her house is having on the rest of the women and the experience overall.
Yeah, I completely agree. It puts Dorinda at like she's like on more of a pedestal than the rest of them, because they're in her house and she's quote unquote like the planner, and she's really organizing this whole they at least they want us to think that she's organizing this whole thing, and it just is an unbalanced power dynamic for the women, and it puts Dorinda almost like in a, like obviously she's hosting them at her house, but it almost puts her in like a host of the show position rather than like a level playing field with the rest of the cast. And it also makes them feel like they all have to walk on eggshells in her home, because she's a crazy person. She's a crazy person.
They wouldn't be able to walk on eggshells upstairs because there's no
No,
food allowed up there.
no food.
And eggshells, I
And it
think,
would
still
be
count as
painful.
food.
Yeah, and it would be painful because they're not allowed to have shoes upstairs either.
Right. That would be barefoot on the food that's not allowed up there.
Yep.
Jill starts off this episode in a confessional, and she's like kind of whispering because she doesn't want Dorinda to hear her and come back into the confessional. And they rehash what happened on the last episode, which was Phaedra and Jill in the confessional talking about the whole radio show situation, being thirsty, and Dorinda comes charging in and, you know, just goes at Jill again. So that's where it starts, which I think is, when I was watching this, I'm like, oh, there's going to be more Jill drama. That's why we're getting this scene. That's the only reason why we could be.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
The first thing they have planned is a hot air balloon, but this hot air balloon is not going to leave the backyard. It is tethered down. It can only go 500 feet up in the air, which is kind of crazy to me, but okay.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Like, why wouldn't they just go to a place instead of having the hot air balloon in the backyard? It's weird.
Yeah, that just kind of seemed like a waste of money to me. There could have been something else that you could have done that would have been a better use of that money.
Mm-hmm. And half of them like didn't do it.
Yeah. I think it was Brandy and Taylor. No, Taylor won the second one. Eva, because she was working.
Oh, was she the only one? Oh, I guess they had two trips.
Yeah, they had two trips of 3.
I thought that the first
and then
trip just didn't go on. Okay.
Yeah. But before the hot air balloon, we get some drama where Jill comes in. They're in the backyard, and she's like, can we talk about the elephant in the room? Dorinda has no recollection of how she treated me last night. And Phaedra goes, Dorinda is Mike Tyson. She might not bite your ear off, but she might. Phaedra just coming in with these lines again.
Phaedra killed me this episode in like the best way.
Yeah. She's been good. I hate that I have to say that, but she's been good.
Yeah.
So the women agree to bring this up after the hot air balloon because they don't want to be stuck on a hot air balloon with an angry Dorinda, which to me, that's a completely valid reason to put this conversation off.
Yeah. Same.
That was smart.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And then Dorinda comes in and brings it up anyway, so they can't avoid this.
No.
Dorinda calls Jill thirsty for wanting to listen to Eva work, and then we kind of get some confessionals of the women saying if they think Jill is thirsty or not. And
they're all pretty much like, yeah, we know that Jill's thirsty. That's like her thing.
Yes. But they aren't like mad at her for it.
No, they're just like, to know Jill is to know that she's thirsty.
Yeah. And Jill says to Dorinda that she didn't have to be that mean about it. And Dorinda says that she doesn't think she was. And Dorinda says that she doesn't have this problem with anyone else, to which they then show flashbacks of all the times that Dorinda yelled at other people throughout the first 3 to 4 days of their time at Bluestone Manor. I don't even know how long they've been there for. And Vicky, of all people, says that Dorinda doesn't know how to apologize.
Yep. Vicky does a little bit of like the Ramona apology to me though, where she like will apologize, but obviously she doesn't mean it.
Yeah.
She just says it to like get the heat off of her.
Mm-hmm. And these two don't even apologize. They just come to a truce.
Yeah. Wild.
I feel like I've said this after every single one of Dorinda's blow-ups, but she isn't being held accountable for how she is, or I guess the women are trying to. Like Jill said, you were mean to me about it. And that's really the issue. Jill doesn't care about being told no. She cares that Dorinda was a fucking bitch.
Yeah, she was horrible. She was horrible to her.
And Dorinda doesn't see that. And but like you said, she was on Watch What Happens Live. And like, so she's seen some of the episodes already. And so she's seeing herself drunk. I mean, even sober. When she was yelling at Tamara, she was sober. And just how
as far as we
rude
know,
she gets.
I mean,
yeah, that's true. But I don't know, because Dorinda, when she's like drunk yelling, you can tell. Because like there's no, it's in cursive. Like there's no spaces between the words.
Yeah.
That you can tell. Just to watch yourself and think...
Well, she's watched herself like this for years.
Yeah.
So, and she never has regretted any of it. She's never taken accountability for any of her behavior. Instead, she'll like make merch out of it. So it's like, this is, you want to talk about thirsty? Like, that's truly thirsty.
I am so over her. I wish we could vote her out of her own house. Let's make this an episode of Survivor and vote someone off the island.
I don't think that this is going to help her get back on the main show.
The fact that she still believes she's on pause, she's just living in her own little Bluestone Manor universe.
Yeah, she is. She is. It's wild.
It's hard to watch in a way because I guess like the other villain has been Brandy, right?
Yeah.
And Brandy knows what she's doing. And even when she's like too drunk to realize the severity of what she's saying, she's always apologized the next day and does make a genuine effort at like, I'm so sorry. I want us to get along. I realize I shouldn't have said this. And yeah, she is almost 50 or she is 50 or whatever. And she should know better as well. But at least there's some level of accountability for a lot of her actions where Dorinda...
Or at least like remorse. Like she does show some... Yes, she keeps repeating the same mistake over and over again. But so does Dorinda, and Dorinda like just doubles down.
Yes. I'll take Brandy's bad actions over Dorinda's because Brandy at least tries to have a relationship after, where Dorinda has a relationship because she thinks she's right and everybody else just doesn't want to deal with trying to tell her she's wrong.
Yep.
After this truce, they go up in the hot air balloon and Brandy doesn't do it. The rest of them do, besides Eva. Eva missed all this because she was working her show. Then they have breakfast. Eva says she wasn't upset about missing the hot air balloon. She's not really big on that anyway. Heights aren't her thing. So then Eva and Jill talk. Jill was like, did you think I was being thirsty? And Eva was just like, it's really not this big of a deal. I don't understand why it's being made a big deal. And then Eva said what I said last week, which I'm glad she said this. It's a radio show. It would be like if my roommate came in here and was like, can I listen to podcasts?
Right.
It's like, yeah, you'll hear my half of it. You aren't going to hear Katie. And or just go on YouTube. Jill, just turn on the fucking iHeartRadio app and
turn the radio
listen
on
to the whole show.
Yeah.
So I was glad when she said that, where she's like, it's just headphones and like a microphone. There's not anything to watch.
Right.
I'm sitting in the corner of a room. Here's where I really appreciated Vicky when she called Dorinda a monster bitch.
She is a monster bitch, so she's right. She's right about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she says that Dorinda's a monster bitch when she's drinking, and she also came out in the morning as well. And then Jill starts to bring up her relationship with Dorinda, and we got some of this last episode, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's talking to Taylor, I think, at the pool.
Yeah, and Jill says that she thinks that her end of their friendship hasn't changed, but she thinks that Dorinda became too big for herself by becoming reality TV famous.
Yeah, I think that's... I mean, I obviously didn't know Dorinda before she was a housewife, but you could see how Dorinda has changed as a housewife since she began on the show and where she is now. Mm-hmm. She's much different than what she was.
Yeah, absolutely. Eva goes and talks to Dorinda in Dorinda's room because Dorinda had left. And Eva...
I didn't love this from Eva. I felt like she was stirring the pot a little bit where it didn't need to be stirred.
I just think
Dorinda's like a loose cannon.
Eva's on the wrong side of this.
She's completely on the wrong side of this.
And I don't know what she's doing. Like, I think what she's trying to do is say, like, you and Jill clearly have deeper shit to figure out than just you calling her thirsty for wanting to sit on my bed while I record my radio show. But it seems like she's taking Dorinda's side in it.
Uh-huh.
And I just don't know how you can sit there and watch Dorinda's behavior night after night. Like, what has Jill Zarin done to anybody in this whole time she's been here besides be annoying and awkward. And she's not even
Right.
like annoying. It's just like you're just doing a little bit too much right now.
Yeah. She's harmless. She's like a kind of like an almost like an annoying fly that's not going to bother you. Sometimes you can just ignore it, but like other times you just want to swat it away a little bit. But like you're not gonna. I don't know. It just seems like they're just being mean to her just because.
Yeah, and Eva says Jill needs to be straight up with Dorinda about why she's mad, which I think Jill was, because she said you were
Yes, she was
being
very
mean.
clear.
And Eva wasn't there for that part. And Dorinda says that Jill holds it over her, that Dorinda didn't film with Jill when Dorinda was on Housewives and Jill wasn't. So now we're kind of like pinpointing a specific thing that can be maybe a source of some drama here that has never been resolved. Is it referring to that whole, like, was it a Halloween thing?
Well, there was the Halloween thing, and then we got to Bobby's funeral later in the episode. I don't know. Maybe there were other things too, that maybe parties that Dorinda threw or something that she wasn't invited to. And she wanted to be on camera for it. I don't know. But Jill does say in this episode, like, I want to be a friend of the housewives. I don't want to be a full-time housewife. I want to be a friend of. Like, that would be my ideal. She's being pretty transparent that that's what she wants.
Yeah. Yeah, she says that a little later.
Mm-hmm.
But we also see Dorinda hold over Jill, like, oh, well, when I was a housewife and you weren't. So I don't know.
Monster.
Yes. The women leave the house, aka Menopause Manor, as Tamara called it, to go out to lunch. Mm-hmm. And Dorinda says that they all need a couple of drinks to calm the nerves after last night. And Phaedra's like, do we?
I was on the same page as Phaedra. I was like, I cannot believe these women are drinking right now after everything. Like, this is the worst idea. We've seen what happens with them when they day drink.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
And then we get a question for the table, which was, what was the last time you were in love? And Phaedra won't talk about her current relationship on camera, which I meant to Google and I haven't gotten there. So go ahead, Katie. I'll keep talking.
Okay.
Vicky says that all of her friends from home are still in like their first marriage. They don't get divorced. And someone was like, in the OC? And she's like, no, in Chicago, which like, one, you're from a suburb of Chicago, because there's no way that prissy of a bitch comes out of Chicago like that, having been here for 4 years. I mean, you can, but when they showed when she went home, however many seasons ago, like that, you're not in Chicago, you're in the woods, you're in the suburbs somewhere. And Tamara says that Vicky would have been Steve's fourth wife, and Phaedra's response of fourth wife just crushed me. Oh man, Phaedra, I can't say that I miss you, but I'm enjoying you right now.
Yeah, I am too. Well, now Steve is married to someone that's like 36 years old. So
good for you, Steve. You have your fourth wife.
Disgusting.
Way to go. Yeah. Steve Bannon, that's who it is, right?
No. Steve Lodge.
Why do I say Steve Bannon?
That's he probably has a lot of the same views as Steve Bannon. Yeah.
Well, congrats, Steve. Tamara says that Vicky misses the sexual chemistry she had with Brooks, and Brandy.
I cannot believe we're still talking about Brooks in 2022.
I know. Brandy's confessional when she said Brooks was a bad guy, but he was giving her the D 100%.
I mean, clearly that's what was happening.
Yeah. So
didn't she also say he was ugly?
Yeah.
And someone was like, was he good looking? And Brandy was like, no.
No. And Vicky got a little offended at that, but let it go, thankfully.
Yeah.
But the lunch was pretty tame for these women, which was nice, even with day drinking involved. Then they have a pool party. So Jill explained, she's on the phone with her mom and she's explaining what Dorinda did. And Jill's mom is like, let me at her. It's like, she better never see me again.
Yeah.
This is where we get Jill explaining that she wants to be a friend of on the show. And Brandy and Eva are trying to tell Jill that both the two of them, Jill and Dorinda, are glossing over their friendship problem that they have. And then basically everybody gets in the pool. And Dorinda's like, you bitches better get in the pool because I am paying for this to be heated.
Yeah, and she like makes a whole big thing about how like the pool's heated and it's like gross and it should be cold. What did she say? You should always be scared. She said something actually kind of funny about like when every time you jump in a pool, you should be scared of something. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like how heated? It seems like it was hot, or maybe it wasn't hot because they were cold later on at dinner.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I can't. Have we figured out the time frame of when they were there?
I'm sure it's very easy to check.
Yeah. Either way, just get in the pool. It's warm. You guys are fine. The last place we visit for the evening is the Red Lion Inn, but a ton of shit
Also, the
goes
way
down.
Dorinda's saying the Red Lion Inn makes she sounds like she's saying the Red Line Inn.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then when I saw the thing, I was like, oh, she's saying Red Lion.
Yes.
She's going like the Red Line Inn, the Red Line Inn, and I'm like, what is she saying right now? That's all. That was my observation.
Well, at the Red Lion Inn, Dorinda used to work there when she was like from 14 to 24, and she brings the women there for dinner. So let's just jump straight into dinner because the amount of notes I have here is crazy.
This is where we really go off the rails.
Yeah, absolutely. Dorinda wants to know if anybody else had a disappointment after leaving reality TV, and Dorinda starts because everyone's like, what? And Dorinda said that she was upset that she was put on pause because she felt she put her heart into it. She was working hard and she didn't deserve that.
Yeah. Dorinda, you need to take a second and reflect a little bit here because she had a really, really bad season. A really bad season.
I don't even remember her last season, given like I've watched a ton of Housewives in between New York, or when I watched New York, because I think that was the second
Leah's
series.
first season.
Oh, was it? Mm-hmm. So it's somewhat recently.
Yeah. There was only one season without Dorinda.
Oh.
And then RHOA got put on pause, basically.
So. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Except RHOA actually got put on pause and Dorinda's fired.
Yeah. Well, Andy did tell her, like, yes, I put you on pause. Like, he did say that to her.
I saw
I guess
that
he did leave the door open.
Yeah.
But come on.
I can't have her on. Do you think she'll be on Legacy?
I don't know. I'm sure she will make an appearance. I don't know if she'll be full-time or not. I don't know what the format's going to be, but I know that they were filming at her house or her apartment. She had said that, but I think she got called out for that because the cast wasn't announced, and she was like, no, we were just filming something because like we were having a good time. Whatever. I brought the cameras there to look at my house. So I think she's probably going to make an appearance.
That's not great.
No.
Okay. Well, then Dorinda kind of goes on this like a part of the conversation of how she's organizing everything and she can't sleep because she has to organize everything. And then the women are like, dude, you've taken a nap like every day.
Literally, she's like, I can't lay down and take a nap. And then it's like literally every single day she's taking a nap.
And she says, like, I'll sleep when everyone leaves on Saturday. And Vicky goes, Saturday? I thought we were leaving on Thursday. Which I thought was funny.
Really made me laugh. Really made me laugh.
It's like, you're so rude.
I didn't feel like that was rude. 8 days away is a long time. That's a long trip. Just to feel like you want to be home in your own routine. I'm not mad at Vicky for saying this out loud.
Yeah, like 8 days, if it's like you and your partner, that's one thing. But it's 8 days with 8 women in a house that's not yours, that you don't have the luxury of like.
You don't even have your own room?
Yeah, she has to share a room with Tamara. On
a double bed?
I don't blame Vicky's response for this. Like, I'm not mad at this. I don't think it was bitchy. I don't think she meant it too negatively. But Eva's like, do you even want to be here? And Dorinda's like, well, why did you sign up to be here then? And Dorinda's like, Vicky, you're always the victim. And
yeah, they took this way over the top.
Yeah. She's like, no one else wants to hear what's wrong with you, Vicky. And Eva sides with Dorinda. But I think Eva sides with Dorinda because it's Vicky. I think if, like, Tamara had been like, oh, we're here till Saturday instead of Thursday, like, this just blows over.
Probably.
Because it was Eva that said something first, not even Dorinda.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I also think like there was a point where Vicky said something about the place being old, and
Yeah.
Dorinda was already like about to get on one. She let it go, but you could tell like she was annoyed. She's like, no, it's nice, it's charming. But she's like, where do we go to whoop it up? This is like old. And then they showed it was like 10 p.m. and there was nobody around. It was completely empty. So Vicky just, like you said earlier, just like wants to go whoop it up.
Yeah, this isn't the right environment for Vicky.
No.
After this, the Jill and Dorinda stuff comes up again, and so Dorinda says Jill wouldn't let it go, and Jill filmed with the RHONY women, and Dorinda brings it back up. Jill says Dorinda was drinking. Like I don't even know if these notes make sense, but that's like how not making sense this whole thing was.
Well, I think like the scene that they cut back to was Ramona being like, "Oh, are you drunk already?"
Yeah.
or something like that. That was, I think, Dorinda's last season actually, because I think Leo was there for this. And that's when Dorinda was going off, and she's like, "I didn't have one drink that night," and they do a flashback of the clip showing her being like, "I'm gonna get another drink." So she was drinking.
Of course she was drinking. She's always
when
drinking.
is she not drinking?
Yeah. And Dorinda makes a comment, I was on a show that you're no longer on, which was just bitchy. Because Jill hasn't been on for years.
Right.
Like, using this as your dagger? Shut up, Dorinda.
Seriously.
You're not on it either.
Yeah, neither. Yeah, exactly. Neither are you.
And then I thought Jill was funny here when she was like, Dorinda, you should have another drink because you're the thirsty one.
I actually thought Jill really held her own here. I think Dorinda was a total disaster, and Jill was holding strong until we got to the stuff about Bobby's funeral.
Yes.
But I think, I guess Jill doesn't drink, so she was like very composed and put together and was not letting Dorinda get under her skin like she did the night before.
I probably wouldn't drink in that house either.
I think she just like doesn't drink in general.
Yeah. So Dorinda says that Jill ruined the whole night and that you were hysterical over what? And this is now where the funeral stuff comes up. Dorinda says that Jill requested the funeral for Bobby be filmed. And Jill says Bethany showed up with a mic. Dorinda says Bethany called her and told her that Jill wanted to film the funeral.
Yeah. This is rough for Jill.
Then we get a confessional with Jill saying, okay, well, there was emails, and Jill's like, who are those emails from? And they say who, and like, that's my old assistant. Was I CC'd on these emails? Did I know anything about it? And she's kind of like claiming ignorance here.
Yeah, but even Tamara's like, you have to sign a release to be on the show. So like, obviously she knew that cameras would be there. And we got a flashback to the reunion of even Andy saying,
yeah,
no, Jill asked to have us there because someone said, Jill said you showed up with cameras, and she was like, to Bethany, and Andy jumped in and said, no, Jill reached out to us and asked us to film. So rough on Jill, rough look for Jill here. This is where the tide started to turn for me a little bit in favor of Dorinda, because I was like, okay, now I feel like we're scratching through the surface a little bit, and I'm getting to understand why Dorinda maybe is a little frustrated with Jill, because we're not getting the full story. She's trying to paint a narrative that is not the true narrative here.
Which again is kind of the Jill Zarin way.
Yeah, exactly.
Dorinda's response, regardless, is
she's
not justified, and there can easily be conversations about it. But again, I don't know, like, why would you want to try to talk to Dorinda about it? It's so much easier to tell someone like her, like, yeah, you're right. Okay, you're right. Because no matter what you say, she's not going to be like, actually, like, when was the last time Dorinda was wrong?
Never in her life.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never happened.
Jill apologizes to Dorinda.
Yes, I wouldn't
Dorinda does not apologize to Jill.
Yeah, no, I would not have apologized.
I literally wrote, why the fuck didn't Dorinda?
Yeah, I don't know. She
makes
never
me
will.
mad.
Yeah, she never will.
Anything else you want to say about Jill and Dorinda?
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's move on to round 2 of this fight, where we have Taylor and Brandy.
Yeah.
So Taylor just was like, you know what? I have to bring something up with you.
Out of nowhere.
Literally out of nowhere. I mean, she alluded to it in confessionals that we hadn't seen, where she said, like, I'll never forgive her for this because she affected someone's family. And I didn't even remember this happening. Like, I don't remember what Adrienne looks like, but I remember that this happened. Oh, wait.
She has tinsel in her hair.
Did her and her husband, like, got divorced soon after this?
Yes. Her husband is on the show with Terry Dubrow. Ex-husband.
Oh,
Botched.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So Taylor goes, do you regret the fact that you outed Adrienne, used a surrogate? Taylor finds it to be unforgivable. And Brandy says, everyone in Beverly Hills knew. And then Vicky says, yeah, but the world didn't know, which is valid.
Yeah, it's valid. This is like the backstory of all this that they didn't say on the show. And I wonder why, is that Brandy blames Lisa Vanderpump for this, saying Lisa gave her the information and wanted her to out it. So she outed it on behalf of Lisa Vanderpump. This is why she like doesn't really take much responsibility for it anymore, because she feels like she came out and said like, I did Lisa Vanderpump's dirty work with this. Which again, like she's like the boogeyman in the closet for all these women for some reason. It's weird.
Because she really forced you to say this.
Yeah, and as if you're not a grown woman.
Right. And Brandy says, like, we're friends now. We hang out.
I think they are. Like, I think that they are friendly, at least what it seems like from social media. And I think we've seen them both appear on the show after that and be fine. So it's really weird that Taylor's bringing this up.
Yeah, because
this is season 3 of the Housewives.
It's not Taylor's business. Like, yes, you're on the same show or whatever, but at the end of the day, if there's people who could still be mad about it, it's Adrienne's family.
And they're not.
And Taylor is taking this, like, savior stance of, well, I have a family, and if someone did this to me, but they didn't. So
they didn't. And also, we're days into this trip.
Yeah.
And you already had a conversation with Brandy on the first day, and you didn't bring this up. And now all of a sudden you're bringing this up as if this is something that has some kind of impact or something to do with you. It's weird.
And Brandy says that, like, I think she's just trying to have a TV moment with this, which I didn't think she was exactly wrong, because it just felt
I don't think she's wrong.
Weird. Or, like, it felt like maybe even producer influence. Like, hey, you still haven't addressed this thing with Brandy where you said that you've never forgiven her for this in a confessional that we did earlier on, or what, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it just seemed a little bit too out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
So then Taylor goes on this spiel of, like, Taylor saying that all the classy women were in season 1, and that Taylor calls Brandy a cinnamon stick stirring a successful pot of water. Yeah. Which we got some funny confessionals.
Yeah.
Like, what's a not successful pot of water?
What does that mean? Yeah, what is that?
A cinnamon stick?
Right. What a weird thing.
Yeah. So then Taylor brings up that we're the only cast that's ever won a Critics' Choice Award out of all of the casts.
Who cares?
Right? And this is where Brandy starts getting a little chippy, and she's like, wow, you're just like Dorinda and Jill, and just trying to, like, be relevant again.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say, like, who's more popular or whatever.
Yeah. So Taylor's like, we were more successful, and Brandy laughs at that comment. And then, more successful. And then Brandy retaliates with a comment that gets blanked out.
Yes. And what we think, trigger warning, at least what I think, probably almost word for word, is, what did she say? How are you successful or something? She says your husband killed himself, is what I think that she said. That's context clues point me to her saying, because your husband killed himself. That's not successful.
Yeah, we get a bunch of confessionals after that. Like, you went way too low.
You're weaponizing someone's death.
Yep. And Phaedra says, if you're going to throw a rock at Brandy, you better expect 5 bullets back. And Eva walked out.
Yes. Eva was like, this is some dark shit. Like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
So Brandy said, Taylor's coming after me, and that justifies the comment. Brandy walks out. So Brandy says, like, I'm friends with all the Beverly Hills women. Like, I'm friends with Kyle. I'm friends with all these people I used to have issues with. And Brandy says, like, I'm not going to take back that comment. I don't
Yeah,
feel
didn't Phaedra or Eva or somebody say, like, did you regret saying that about Adrian? She was like, no.
No. Yeah.
Which is
So,
weird. Because, like, why not?
because it's Brandy.
Yeah, it's true.
I would be more surprised if she did take it back. So while they're gone, the women at the table are still talking about it, and Taylor thinks that this action from 10 years ago, like, speaks about who Brandy is still to this day. And I don't know, like, we've talked about it on TJ Hates Quitters, how, like, allow people to grow, and whether or not you think Brandy has grown in the last how many years is up to you, but at least allow her the opportunity, where it seems like Taylor's still sitting on actions from a decade ago.
Yeah.
And looking to, I mean, like, you had to have moved on. What are you trying to do by bringing these back up?
Yeah, it's strange. It's really strange. And even the women in the room who, like, have been on Taylor's side this whole time are like, this isn't your fight. Like, this has nothing to do with you. Even Vicky and Tamara are like, this has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily, like, defending Brandy, saying, like, oh, she was justified in saying what she did, but they were like, why are you bringing this up?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was confused.
Yeah, absolutely. It just came out of nowhere. But
yeah,
Brandy comes back in, and then it's Dorinda who says something, and then gets into the comment of, like, okay, well, what if your son died? And right before that, they're like, we're not going to talk about kids or death.
Yeah.
And then Dorinda combines them both into one sentence to Brandy, and everyone's like, why would you say that?
Slurring.
Yeah. So Brandy,
it's also
leaves
not
again.
The same thing.
Right. It absolutely isn't.
Like, not even close. Not even a little bit close.
I just got an annoying email. They're painting our back stairs. It means we have to go up and down an extra flight.
Oh.
Stupid landlords. Okay. Sorry. Came up on my screen. Yeah, it's not. It's just, why are we trying to equate these things? Dorinda, why are you even saying that? Like, not justifying Brandy's comment, but at least in that moment, like, Brandy was retaliating to something Taylor said. Dorinda just, like, is sitting there waiting for Brandy to come back. Is like, oh yeah, well, what if your son died?
Also, like, context setting here in general is that Russell, Taylor's ex-husband, took his own life, and this is not anything. I'm not using this as, like, a justification saying, like, yeah, he should have done that, but, like, he had a lot of money issues at the time. He was abusive, and that was outed on the show, and he probably knew that was outed on the show. Like, there were a lot of things that he obviously was struggling with, some things in terms of mental health. Like, there were reasons that led to this happening. He also signed a release to be on the show, and he's an adult, was an adult. Brandy has, these are her kids. They didn't do anything. They're innocent in all of this. Like, there's no reason to bring them into a lot of this. Like, this has nothing at all to do with what happened to Russell.
Yeah. I don't know. Dorinda is on one and needs to be knocked down a few pegs. Absolutely. To even have the audacity to say that is just wild. So Brandy leaves again, and Phaedra follows her. This was funny when Phaedra was like, listen, that woman can be your mother. And Brandy goes, no, she's only 5 years older than me.
And Dorinda's like, I mean, then Phaedra's like, oh shit, really? And then the bartender, did you catch the bartender?
Yeah, the bartender.
That was the best part.
I saw it on, like, a screenshot on Twitter, and I didn't catch it in the moment. That was so funny. So then Dorinda comes up to Brandy, and Brandy says, bitch, get out of my face. And Dorinda says, don't call me a bitch. And Brandy's like, no, I'm going to. Which in this instance,
yeah, Dorinda deserves this.
Yeah. So Taylor is still at the table, and Taylor's like, let's go back and whoop it up. And Vicky says, yeah, let's whoop it up. So
what did she said something she said something else, and Dorinda and Vicky was like,
no, whoop it.
Yeah, whoop it. And she's like, no, it's not whoop it. It's whoop it up. We're whooping it up. And she's like, let's whoop it.
We end the conversation in the episode.
Phaedra has a funny confessional in regards to whoop it up. She was like, Vicky's not, like, whooping it up. She's like
woo-wooing.
Woo-wooing. And that gave me Tokyo vibes from, and I was just like, I love this. It made me laugh really hard.
Same.
This show is a goddamn mess.
Oh, incredibly. It's not in like I don't want to say it's not enjoyable. I'm enjoying watching it more than Beverly Hills, let's say,
Me
but
too.
when you compare it to season 1 of Girls Trip where I want to see people from different seasons coming together and bonding over their shared experience of being a housewife. There's only so many women who have had this experience and
Mm-hmm.
just the different dynamics. And we got like a little hostility between Cynthia and Kenya, Melissa and Teresa, but nothing to this extent where
Right.
this isn't what I was expecting. I guess like you're bringing on Brandy, Dorinda, Vicky, like these personalities who are
Mm-hmm.
known for being who they are. So I guess it's to be expected, but I guess I was just expecting it to be a little bit more cordial than it has been.
Yeah, they are not pulling any punches, that's for sure.
Yeah. We only have 3 more weeks of it, which okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
We have our last episode to cover, which is Atlanta, and
Mm-hmm.
we haven't seen them for a couple of weeks because of 4th of
Feels
July
like it's
last
been
week.
forever.
Yeah. We got an hour and 15 minutes as opposed to just an hour episode, which is a weird timing, but whatever. Let's kick it off. We've got Sheree, not Cherie, spelled the same,
Mm-hmm.
different TV show, different
Yep.
pronunciation. Being on on her daughter's podcast, which is about sex and relationships, and during the recording, her daughter gets like probably like a Google or something saying, "Hey, Tyrone has said something about you and him not being on speaking terms and that you could have caused him to get arrested by having filming there."
Mm-hmm.
And Sheree was like, Tyrone was the one that wanted to be on camera so he could tell his side of the story. And now she's having the like, oh shit,
I'm
every
played.
single
I got
part of
played.
this was a scam.
Yep. Poor Sheree. I feel bad for her. Tyrone is trash.
Truly. We see in the mid-season trailer that he's going to make an appearance.
Which I'm surprised. I
That,
didn't think we were going to see him.
to me, negates everything that he said that like it
Of
would
course.
get him arrested.
Absolutely. And it sounds like he didn't apologize to her for anything. And he's
Yeah.
able to go down to Atlanta where he wasn't allowed to leave 100 miles. Like, I'm confused by the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah. I'm going to need more of an explanation than this mid-season trailer gave
Yeah.
us. After we check in with Marlo, who is with her nephews, she said that her nephews have been acting up since the phone call with their mom and that she's been hearing bad things from school. The younger one had like 3 write-ups in a month. The older one had some issues with his teacher saying that she doesn't get paid enough to argue with him. Or if a kid said that to me, I'll be like, listen, today, pro bono.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna destroy your life.
Yeah.
Um oh, I lived for it happened few and far in between. But when a kid got to the point where like the other students realized like, oh, they're being disrespectful with her, because I was
Yeah.
very well liked by my students. Like my best trait as a teacher was my kids respected me because I
Yeah.
respected them. So when one of them was an asshole to me, oh, they were not on that kid's side. They're just like, destroy his life.
Yeah.
Please do it. And so
Yeah.
that would have been a day of like, I don't get paid enough. You're right. But today, this is my monthly charity work. So
Yeah.
let me lay this out for you.
Love that.
But we leave it in a place of like, okay, we'll be good in school. Auntie Marlo, we love you. And that's kind of where that ends for the time being.
Yeah.
I feel bad as someone who never wants kids, like to then just get ownership of teenagers. That's a hard place to be.
Yes. I have a lot of sympathy for everybody in this situation. This
Yeah.
obviously is a very difficult thing that all of them are going through. I think kids, especially probably like young boys, don't really know how to handle their negative emotions. So they act out in ways that aren't necessarily like exactly related to what's going on in their lives, but it's all connected. I think that's kids in general, but I feel like boys probably more so. I don't know. Again, not a, as you said earlier, not a doctor or a therapist or whatever, but I feel bad for them. They're going through a lot. If they're not in therapy, they need to be.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they weren't, based on what Marlo said later in the
Yeah.
episode.
She
So
was
it's like
like,
these
"Do
kids
you
just
want to go to
need,
therapy?" It's like,
yeah,
no.
they need to be in therapy. They should have been long in therapy at this point, to help. The trauma is going to come to that. I mean, they're dealing with it already, but it's going to continue on for them. And it's just sad.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see more of that as the episode continues. Next, we get Sonia visiting Kenya's house, and they were what does this note even mean? Talking about everyone at Sonia's house. All right, that don't make sense, but oh, I get it. All the people that are living in Sonia's house right now, because it's like it's her mom and her dad and her sister and her sister's husband and like their kids and everything. So Sonia's saying that they have to like sneak around and have sex because like there's always people around.
Guess who doesn't care about this? Me.
So Kenya then talks about like she wasn't planning on being a single mom, and then Candy FaceTimes in. They talk about the guy trespassing on her property. And then they bring it back to the dropping with Drew situation where Kenya basically says, like, I just want to know why Marlo's acting this way towards me, because we were okay for a bit, but then if you're going to come at me, like, why are you doing this?
Right.
Next, we're with Sheree and her friend. Is it? I don't know how to say this. Fatum? Yeah, I think that's right. It's Fatum. Fatum is visiting her. Fatum, which I didn't realize, was the one that told
I did not
Drew
realize this either. Yeah.
that there's rumors that Ralph's gay.
Yes.
At the tea party thing earlier. So, Brooklyn's party.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this. So she's coming back. We're getting more Fatum in our lives. Again, Fatum very dressed up to be at Sheree's house. Sheree is in a robe, and Fatum is dressed like she's going to the club after.
Maybe she was.
If she was, good on you for not having to change after. But if I'm going to someone's house, I'm going comfy as fuck.
Yeah.
Just tell me if I can wear shoes.
Well, they did later. Some of them.
Yeah. So Sheree explains she still doesn't talk to Tyrone. He's still blocked. And then she feels stupid after this whole experience. And she just breaks down. She's like,
this broke my heart.
I knew you were going to say that.
This like almost got me emotional for Sheree. I felt so upset for her.
Yeah, because usually we see her being this like badass bitch. Yeah. And here she is just like at her most vulnerable, just in terms of like, all she wants is a man to love her the way that she deserves to be, and she hasn't found that yet.
Yeah, and I feel like just the amount of time that she's devoted to this relationship. And we got a flashback later talking about She by Sheree, showing like, this is part of like the mid-season trailer, I guess, at the end of the episode. But they flash back to that reunion, which was in 2017, which was, I think, her last season on the show, which means she's been dealing with this for 5 years at least with Tyrone. And it's just like to throw that amount of time and emotional labor into this man. Now he's finally out of jail and you feel like you can get into like a real relationship with him and he's treating you like this. I just feel so bad for her. She deserves so much more. She's a queen and she deserves to be treated like a queen. And it hurt me because it felt like she didn't want the camera to catch her crying and she was like trying to walk away. I'm just like, you can be vulnerable. We're all in support of you, Sheree. No one, we want to be there and we want to give you that hug that Fatum was giving you.
And I think that's the other part of why she's as upset. I mean, given she has every right to be as upset as she is, I don't want to make it seem like she can't be. But the fact that this relationship, the beginning of it, has been caught on camera, the end of it on camera. This is a very public failure.
Very much.
And I mean, no one likes failing, but I understand that to have this fail on such a public scale and to feel like not only did it fail, but you feel like you're an idiot for allowing this to happen and not seeing the red flags or whatever feelings she has about it, that just amplifies it. It's not just a normal breakup. This isn't a fun breakup in the slightest. we see her go into that projection room, like her movie room, right? And I don't like to be one that counts other people's money because I don't think it's people's business. But
No, I
if
was
you're going
counting
to be on a
Sheree's money
reality
this entire
TV
damn
show,
time with this house.
yeah, like how? I just want to know how.
I don't know.
Your fashion line has never lifted off the ground. What job does she have? How is she getting this money? I mean, there's references to the fact that she like gets people to do things and then she doesn't pay them. But you can't get a whole ass house built that way, especially the house that she has. Like that's a whole lot of people you're ripping
it
off.
took her a long time to get that house built.
I just when she went into that room and then later in the episode when they run upstairs and Kenya's running around that like nice dining room table.
Even just the space to have like that table set up in your house, like your house is gigantic.
And it's really what? Is she by herself in that house?
I think so.
That's crazy.
Unless her son might still live there. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe Bob Whitfield paid her some back child support that he wasn't paying her. I don't know.
I can't see that happening. Not enough for that house.
Unless the court made him.
Yeah. But I thought he didn't even have money, I thought. Like he
probably doesn't.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Oh, sorry.
It is
Nitro.
a mystery.
There's fireworks going off.
Ugh.
The month of July is just firework county over here.
It just like never feels like it ends.
Absolutely. So Sheree says she's not going to give Tyrone any more time or tears, and she's mad she even dated someone so below her level. You tell
Don't
me,
be mad.
Sheree.
Everybody makes mistakes, Sheree.
Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. I used to quote that to my students. I'm like, as the great philosopher Hannah Montana once said. And they're like, shut up.
That's really funny.
All right, we go to Drew talking with her mom. And first of all, I know Ralph we're not the biggest fans of, but Ralph is writing a book. Ralph is writing a book about step parenting.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say about this at all.
The last person I'm taking
Drew
advice
didn't know.
from, yeah. Because
your husband's writing a book about step parenting your kids and you don't even know.
Yeah. Because the assistant got it that she made him fire. And the last person I'm taking advice from is Ralph.
On anything.
Yeah.
In life. Period.
Truly. Anyway, the other thing that comes up here is, did you catch this? Because I didn't. Who left this like voice message with Drew's mom telling them to like pray extra while the mom is in Chicago because there's some sort of evil spirit that has feminine energy that is going to like prey down on them while she's in Atlanta?
I think it was like a psychic or something.
Oh my God.
That's what I took from it, that some psychic said something, or like someone who maybe moonlights as a medium.
Great. So Drew like really harps on this throughout the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Naturally, because she has to grasp onto any sort of storyline she can get. And she also tells her mom that her and Sonia aren't friends anymore. And the last thing that she's upset with Sonia about is the fact that Sonia made a comment to Ralph of like, oh yeah, we're trying to figure out how busy you all actually are, which did seem shady, but like in the grand scheme of Atlanta shade and issues and conflict, this is a 1 out of 10.
I agree.
I can't wait for Drew to not be invited back. I hope it happens.
I know. I hope it happens too.
Not a Drew fan. All right. So now
either way,
we've got some Marlo action. She's with Sheree and Sonia. They're at like a furniture store because it takes 12 to 14 months apparently to get furniture, which I hope not, because I was looking at a couch today that I want in 20 days. So
might be a little better now. I don't know.
I hope so. I'm going to Bob's Discount Furniture later this week to look at it in person. So let's hope. But anyway, Sheree says she's going to host a pajama party sleepover for all the girls. And Marlo says she's mad that she almost got double teamed because Kenya was two people. Why didn't you all stop her? Um, what what do you want to happen with Marlo and Kenya? What's your ideal situation with those two?
I like them as friends. In
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of the season, I liked seeing Marlo supporting Kenya with her issues with Mark. Obviously, I think we know even in present day they are not friends, so it's unfortunate. But I guess these two just like they cannot get on the same page.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, Marlo continuously throws low shots.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
I don't blame Kenya for
No,
not
me
wanting
neither.
to be friends with her. I mean, Kenya isn't an angel in all of this. However, I would react the same way if this woman who has her own shit going on, like doesn't lead this perfect life, is out here telling me like, "Oh, you're not the moment. Your ex-husband doesn't think so." And like accusing her of acting crazy because she's on like weight loss pills, and
Right.
that's just in this one episode. Like, forget when she made the
Yeah.
mom comment years ago, not loving her and everything. Like,
Yeah.
I would have cut that bitch out then. But
Marlo,
it's
I think, shoots really low because she is just not she is another one who I feel like just does not know how to appropriately handle her emotions. So
mhm,
she just rages out and she lashes out, she says these crazy ass things. And I think it comes a lot of the time from like a place of hurt
mhm.
with some of these women. Like I think she really felt like Kenya not coming to Sheree's aid was like really a slight against her, and it probably brought back, and I think she probably said this, like, you know, some feelings of rejection that she had from like her mom and needing people and they weren't there for her, so like she just cut her off. It's like obviously coming from like unresolved stuff, I think,
Mhm.
with her.
I also wonder, like, what would Marlo's line be? You know what I mean? Like, what could you say to Marlo that's going to get her to maybe cross a line in terms of like getting in your face, being physical? You know what I mean? Like, to say to Kenya, who the known issue is like her mom wants nothing to do with her. We know that Marlo went through foster care or whatever. That can you make a comment like that? Is that like I don't know what's gonna get Marlo to go from angry to like fucking angry. Because I feel
Well,
like
she
people have
did
said, oh,
stab someone,
oh,
so well,
there is a,
allegedly, I guess.
there is something. I'm just like, I'm not saying I want to see it happen. It's just like, if Marlo's willing to throw out the comments that she does, she has to expect the same level back. But
Yeah.
and she's even gotten some of the same level type of comments back. What would make Marlo explode? I don't know if I want to see that. It's just a curiosity question, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably something about her family
Yeah.
or her upbringing.
To bring it back to the little powwow in the furniture store, Sonia says that she was with Kenya, and Kenya's basically just sick of Marlo accusing her of lying,
Yeah.
especially most recently about being sick. And Marlo like won't promise to not take these shots below the belt at Kenya. And then she starts talking about the boys, and she says, I'm just so upset with them. Like, I had their laundry done or took them to get their laundry done maybe, and they left the clothes wet for like a few days, so it smells, there's mildew, and I had to take away their computer. They went into the room and got my room and got their laptop, and the room is an absolute mess. Michael punched a hole in the wall, and she was like, so I kicked the boys out.
Yeah. This is tough for me. And listen, I'm not a parent. I've never been in the situation that Marlo is in, taking care of someone else's kids who are teens who are going through a really hard time, but to me this feels like this is just not the move.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're already missing their mom and you are giving them some stability. It doesn't feel like the move is to say like get out for 30 days. The move
Yeah.
is to take them to therapy and have them talk
Yeah.
to someone and get them help so they can deal with all of these emotions and horrible things that are going on in their lives right now and process them appropriately and work through it. You know, like what's happening with their mom is not a reflection on them. And it makes me sad that the stability that these boys had from Marlo is now gone, and they're now at another aunt's house. And, you know, how do you think that makes these boys feel? And coming from Marlo, who's been through things like this in her life, I'm kind of surprised that this is the route that she would take.
Yeah. The other part that gets me is it's a very easy out, in my opinion, for, hey, I'm filming, so I'm going my event, I'm gonna plan a week away. You know what I mean? Like, you can go get a week away from the kids and use your job as the excuse. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's ways to kind of create that space while still maintaining your guardianship of them.
Yep.
Again, it's got to be difficult for someone who doesn't have kids to then take these two in, and it's a hard place to be. But I agree with like the conversation Marlo have later where Candy's like, you can't do that. Like, there's got to be something else to figure out, and maybe she'll cut this 30-day break short.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
so.
It's a little, yeah.
Yeah, and even Sheree in her confessional is like, I've never gotten a break for my kids. Like, once I had kids, I've never taken 30 days off. She's like, would I have loved to? Yes. But like, she didn't have the luxury to do that. And we know that Bob was not a present father for them, wasn't paying child support. So Sheree had it really tough too. Those kids, we saw them living on like an air mattress and stuff in a condo on the show. Like, it's not always going to be easy, but you can't, if you're taking on this responsibility, especially for kids like this who have been through so much, it's like, this is not great that you just kind of like pass them off to someone else.
Luckily, it was her sister, and it wasn't just like, hey, the system, come take this.
That would be absolutely horrible if that.
Right.
I hope that she wouldn't do that because she's been through the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she even says her sister has 4 toddlers. Like,
yeah,
these poor kids. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, and Sonia puts it in a way like, okay, it's not just the kids who need to come back and be different after this 30-day break. Like, you need to as well, and hopefully you figure that out. So
this is the one time this episode that I appreciated Sonia. I feel like that was a good, like, you need to commit to yourself what you're going to change over the next 30 days when they come back.
After this scene, we end up at the pajama party at Sheree's, and Fatum is there, and I wrote as a note, she's the one that had the issue with Drew earlier in the season. So Fatum's friend tells Fatum that she did some research on Drew, and finds out that Drew and her husband both have a few aliases that they go by. And this is going to come up later. We don't really like get much about it then and there, but this will come up. So let's lay that groundwork. They cut to Drew being like, I'm afraid to come because this psychic lady on my mom's phone said there's bad energy around me. Okay, Drew. But Drew shows up, and her and Sheree are wearing matching outfits.
Yep.
Which I thought was funny, but
I thought that was funny too. And it's kind of weird because Sheree was wearing a different outfit and then changed into that outfit.
Yeah.
And then they were matching, which is pretty funny.
And Sheree wore it better.
Yes, she did.
Then they have live models show up, and they end up doing some like naked painting, nude painting of these models. And Candy was like, for the record,
yeah, I had nothing to do with this.
This was not me, which I thought was funny.
This was probably the funniest part of the episode to me. First of all, like the fact that they're just like showing these sad illustrations of a penis on TV, it's just so brazenly. It was so funny to me at 8 p.m. on a Sunday on the Lord's Day. I don't observe the Lord, but like I was just like, what are we doing here? This is ridiculous. So when I first saw that, I was like, this is crazy. Also, like, this looks like it's for children. Just these drawings, they were terrible.
Yeah, they were not good.
They were terrible. And then when we see these naked people, we got so many funny confessionals. I think Kenya was the one that was like, he wasn't Bolo. Let's just say that, which killed me.
Mm-hmm.
This poor guy probably watching that back being like, this is my moment. And Marlo saying it turned into Naked and Afraid because they were naked and I was afraid truly made me laugh out loud very hard.
Yes, that was very funny. They also had, is it Lisa Wu? Was that her last name?
Lisa Wu is back. Yeah.
Yeah, she was there all the way from season 1.
Season 1. I think she was season 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think she was on the first 2. Definitely at least the first one. I was like, whoa, okay, it's a little bit of a throwback. Do you also want to be a friend of? Are we going to see you
I
on
would love
Ultimate
to see
Girls
Lisa
Trip?
Wu back.
Yeah, I would be fine with it. I enjoyed her first couple
too.
seasons. And then we get Drew and Sonia next to each other. They start talking the busy comment, and Sonia was like, I wasn't shading him. And then she's like, I'm not having this conversation because Drew starts to come for her. And thankfully it ends there, at least for now. What a dumb thing to have a fight over.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get Candy and Marlo, like both go to the bathroom at the same time. So then they end up in a conversation, and Marlo's like, I've been going through a lot. I kicked the boys out, and I'm not as strong of a person as I appear to be. And she isn't a mom. She needs time for her. And Candy's like, this will make it worse. Like, kicking the boys out is not it. But obviously it's a little late. And Marlo's like, I need to do this for me.
Yeah, so she's drinking more. She's crying more. Yeah.
Just not in a good place. So
get all of these people into therapy. This is, you need it. You guys need it. It's not healthy.
Well, she said she was seeing a therapist.
Yes, she did, yeah. Or she talked to Sheree's life coach.
Oh, God. Okay, well, let's maybe actually see a real one.
Yeah.
And Candy was like, I'm glad you said this to me. I was mad at you, and I was very confused by you coming in and being nice. And Marlo was like, I was hoping that you would accept me being nice as okay, let's just take this for where it's at, and we can talk about it later, which they did. And Candy thinks that Marlo needs to put her feelings to the side and just take responsibility for these boys, and tells her to continue with the therapy. But they end in a good place.
Yeah, they do. And that was nice. Because we know Candy's kind of been a little disconnected.
Yeah. And we see that this good place might not last too long with the two of them, but at least for now, they're in a good place.
Right now, yep.
So back at the table, Sheree is like, I was in a funk and I'm trying to shed it, and I'm glad you're all here. Let's have fun. So they start with Drew asking Candy. Drew needs to get her nose out of other people's business. Like, let them have their fucking conversation. This has nothing to do with you. But why they were gone for so long, so Candy explains the conversation. Yeah. And then they do something where everyone has to say something nice, and then at the end of it, they all have to say, yes, queen, as Kenya instructs them to do.
Yeah. This was kind of cute. Kenya obviously drunk as hell.
Which was fucking phenomenal.
Amazing. Let's get more drunk, Kenya.
And all, like, Sheree and Candy are both like, please.
Yes.
More of this. Yes. Absolutely more of this. So a couple people say nice things. They do the yes queen thing. And then Drew being Drew.
We did get like a no queen. Oh, this is the no queen.
Yeah. She was like, I'm getting along with nearly everyone here. And people are like, no queen. So they have a couple more women say some nice things, and then they come back to Drew, and Drew says another I love like the exact same
thing that she said, and they were like, you said that already.
Yeah. And Drew's like, okay, well, Marlo, do you actually love everybody here? And Marlo's like, in the grand scheme of like being alive, yes. Yeah. Essentially, yeah. Like, don't love, but and Drew is just being her petty self. Like, this is not the way to make a name for yourself amongst the Atlanta women. The way to do it is to be able to go toe for toe with them. It's not to be this passive aggressive petty bullshit.
Right. Agreed. Totally agreed.
And she just makes me so mad. I don't want her on my TV. So then Lisa, which like I didn't realize who she was, but Lisa makes this comment like, you can't wait on an apology, that'll never come. And then Sonia like kind of interrupts her, and her and Sonia are going back and forth.
I was like, excuse me, Sonia. Lisa Wu is like a legend and you are nobody. So
Oh, I didn't
let's
realize that was
take it back.
Lisa Wu.
Yeah, that was
I didn't even
Lisa.
connect that's who that was.
Yeah, that was Lisa.
Oh my god, I'm so dumb. I was like, Lisa, who the fuck's Lisa? And then literally 2 minutes ago, I'm like, oh, Lisa from season 1.
Yeah, that was Lisa.
Moron. I did not connect it. Whatever. Okay, we're back. I'm done. I'm done being dumb. So yeah, you're right. Don't interrupt Lisa.
Who are you, Sonia?
She built this show.
Exactly. An OG.
Mm-hmm. So we get to this point of like, you just have to accept you're not going to get an apology. To where Drew chimes in and is like, well, I think Fatum should give me one because she spoke on my husband's name. And Kenya, in her drunken state, was like, well, Fatum actually had you kind of like background checked, and we know that you might go by this name Danielle, or maybe your husband does.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? She's like, you have a lot of aliases. You go by a lot of names. Like, Kenya just putting this shit out there, not hers to tell. Okay, and she can get away with it.
And she did it in like a way where she was like laughing about, like she wasn't like really even like coming for her. She was just like, it was just very funny.
And Fatum is like explaining this and like, this is what happened. And Drew is just like trying to get balsamic vinaigrette for her salad during it. She's so rude.
She is so rude. She really is. She really is rude.
And then she like is mad that no one respects her. It's because you're a bitch to everybody.
You're a clown.
Yeah, and not a good one.
No, there are no good clowns in my mind.
I just tried to like scan through the clowns that I've encountered in my life.
No good clowns.
I met one when I was a kid who like was also a kid. Like, do you remember the show? Was it called Circus is it Circus Schmirkus? I think it was like a show on Disney where they like
not a Disney Channel kid. I was a Nickelodeon kid.
Okay. I feel like Disney Channel really didn't get like good until I didn't watch some of the Disney stuff. I watched more like the Boy Meets World reruns and everything.
Yeah.
But Disney Channel didn't really get good until like a little bit after I was older. But there was a show on there called Circus Schmirkus or something like that. And it showed kids who were like training to become clowns. And one of them I was on vacation with for a week when I was in like 5th grade.
Oh my God.
His clown name was Chicky. And so
wait, so is this like a reality show?
It's probably the closest to a reality show that Disney had. I'm gonna have to find it. If like, I know I'm not making this up. Circus Schmirkus. Oh, okay, we're getting closer. TV show. The Circus have bed bugs. Listen, I don't need that.
Probably.
Totally Circus. Was it on? It was a reality 2000. One season. What channel was it on? I don't know his real name. I just remember his clown name was Chicky. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's a real thing. Oh my, is that him? I think I just saw him in the thumbnail for like on a YouTube thing. Okay, I need to stop. So I know at least like the week that we were on vacation at the same place in Cape Cod, he was cool. He's saying the Aladdin part of A Whole New World with like some other girl we hung out with. That's what I remember about him, and that he was training to be a clown. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be on TV soon. So
that's weird, dude. A child clown that is weird.
5th grade, because I like graduated elementary school, aka 5th grade, in 1999, and it came out in 2000.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So listen, I know I have some like stupid stories, but I swear they're not made up.
That's wild.
So Chicky, hope you're doing all right. You're not on TikTok. Chicky. Yeah, you're not on TikTok much, right?
No, I wonder if he's actually a clown.
Yeah, I wonder if I don't know. You probably get burnt out if you've been trained to be a clown since you were like 12. Childhood, but yeah, I don't know. I'll see if I can research Chicky and give an update next week.
Yeah, I would love to know.
Okay, so let's get back to some of these clowns. Drew is a clown, not a Chicky clown.
Yeah.
All right. we then get Kenya after this whole like alias thing goes down where she's like, I'm a sloppy drunk like this, and just like throws herself on the ground. And Shrey and Candy are just loving this. And Kenya's like, okay, is my wig on straight? And this is where Marlo's like, thank you for finally saying something about your wig.
Yeah.
So I love that too.
Same.
And but other stuff comes up with like the alias thing in the meantime. So like Danielle is Drew's assistant, Ralph is using an alias, and Drew says Fatum should have never spoken her husband and whatever. So there's some drama. I don't know what else to say besides Drew, get the fuck off my television.
Yep. I totally agree. Get off the screen.
What else can get off my screen is coochie incense.
This was so weird. This was so weird.
I will admit that I was half paying attention to this, so please correct me if I'm wrong. Did they have Sheree change into a dress so that she could like squat over this incense and like had incense go up into?
Yes.
And it's supposed to, I mean, she wasn't getting any anyway because what's-his-face was not sleeping with her, so I don't know what you need to clean out, girl.
Fatum also said that she needs to have hair because the incense clings onto the hair. And Candy was like, so you're saying you have a bunch of hair down there? And she's like, I have some. But she said if Sheree doesn't have hair, then it won't work.
I have.
And then we got like, we went into like a fever dream. This was like the craziest thing I feel like I've ever seen.
Yeah, I have paid attention. I just know that Drew said she doesn't get involved in witchcraft and black magic. And I like don't know exactly what went on.
Yeah.
But I'm okay not knowing what went on in this instance.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
So we have Kenya gather everyone up. She was like the drunk girl who like wants to do the boomerang of everybody cheersing in this moment. And Marlo says like, hey, I appreciate that you made a comment about your own wig. And Kenya's like, just stop talking about me. And this is where we get Kenya and Marlo going back at like, Marlo was trying to say something somewhat nice, I guess.
Nice. Hard to say.
It wasn't mean, but I also get Kenya's point of like, you didn't need to say this out loud. Like, I can talk about my wig. You don't need to talk about my wig.
Especially because they're not in a good place. Like, if they were in a good place and she made the joke, like, it probably would have been fine.
Right. Like, if Candy or Sheree turns and makes a joke about it, it's like, haha. But Marlo, it's like, you bitch. And Kenya's like, I'm the moment. And Marlo makes the, well, not to your ex-husband comment again. So we're back on track for enemies here.
But Kenya did a great job just like blowing this off. And she was like going up to the camera and being very funny.
Yeah. Give us more drunk Kenya.
Yeah.
So Marlo says she's going through. Oh, I didn't even put the part. I think this was a part where then like Kenya runs upstairs. So she's like, on the moment, as she's running up the stairs and running around this massive table and people are chasing her. And it's just like, this is great. Please.
Yes, that was great.
Please make Kenya drink at least 3 drinks before doing anything Housewives related in the future. So get back down there. Yes. Marlo's like, I've been going through a tough time. But that's why I'm going to organize a road trip to Blue Mountain or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what they were talking about.
Yeah, I have no idea, but they're going on a road trip.
Great, a road trip.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Sprinter
Can we get
vans?
these ladies to go on a freaking international trip?
They will soon. They're going to Jamaica. We see it
in send them to Europe. Send them somewhere like really far. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we used to get these like really extra, like Japan.
Yeah.
To Japan. Like, when are the trips going to come back? I feel like I'm missing the trips. We're always in Mexico or somewhere tropical. Like, I want to go somewhere.
It could also be COVID stuff because I know Jamaica had like pretty loose COVID.
It probably is, but
restrictions as long as you like took a negative test, because one of my best friends had her like 30th birthday while it was still like kind of questionable to be having people fly to Jamaica for your 30th birthday. But but it
Still
was one
kind
of the
of is,
more
maybe. Just
accessible places. I didn't
New York
go.
City
I was teaching.
has a 15% positivity rate.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah, I heard BA4 and BA5 are like laying
yeah,
the hammer down, which just give me more excuses to never leave my house.
exactly.
But we get the cheers. Marlo and Kenya are still going, kind of going at each other. And oh, this is when she ran around upstairs. So I did it out of order, but that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we've
then we
kind of
got that like weird intro to the preview where it showed like all of the past of She by Sheree, and it was on like an old TV. It was weird.
That was their preseason trailer. They had that online too. So, or not preseason, mid-season. So yeah, we're gonna see that like She by Sheree is definitely gonna come up. We're gonna see Candy and Marlo go at it a bit. We're gonna see the women in Jamaica.
We're gonna see Apollo.
Else.
We're gonna see Dwight. Dwight's back.
Dwight. Who's Dwight?
Oh, from the first couple of seasons, Dwight, where he's like, "Oh, a fashion show with no fashions. How dreadful!"
Oh shit! I didn't realize that he was back in it.
Oh wow, he's in the preview.
Okay, I saw him in the preview, but I thought that was like from however many years ago.
No, he's at the show. He's at the She by Sheree. Show.
All right, and
as of like a week or so ago, She by Sheree still doesn't have anything on the website. So I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, we checked.
Yeah, we checked. I've checked again since we checked, and there's still nothing there.
That's not good. But it's not September yet, so
that's true.
She's got a month and a half to get her shit together.
Yep.
Or she's
I'm rooting for you, Sheree.
Next spring, maybe. I think we've covered a lot of the online stuff throughout our conversation.
Yes, I think we have.
Anything?
The only thing not related to any of the Housewives that we talked about tonight, other than Tamra, I guess, is that we have an update on the OC cast.
Oh, yeah.
And Noella and Dr. Jen are out. Dr. Jen, I'm not surprised. Noella, I'm surprised because she basically carried that entire season. So I'm a little shocked. But Tamra's back. And so are Gina and Emily. And I'm so confused about why Gina is back on the show. She's horrible. I feel like this is all Heather Dubrow's doing. And I'm angry about it.
But if it gets Tamra back, if getting Tamra means I have to keep Gina, then so be it.
Why can't we just keep Noella, get rid of Gina, and bring Tamra? That I would prefer way more. And another old, and I think Alexis Spallino is coming back, and then we're getting another potentially former housewife as like maybe a friend.
Okay. I think the one thing that getting rid of Noella does that caters to things that you've said before is Noella isn't really anyone's friend. You know?
Yes, that is true. And that's the one thing where I'm like, well, at least these women do have all relationships with each other, but
if you get rid of Noella and bring in Tamra can make relationships with anybody. And so but she'll also like hold people accountable, and I'm fine with Noella being gone. I wasn't a Noella fan. And also they're going to want to keep Heather Dubrow over Noella, and I could see Heather being like, it's either me or her.
I could see that too. I just worry about Shannon because I know Shannon and Tamra are not friends anymore, and Shannon and Heather have a very weird relationship, and so do Shannon and Gina and Shannon and Emily. So like, who's Shannon? Is Shannon going to be on the outs again this season? Like, I'm not here for it.
Maybe I could see, especially since Vicky isn't there, that Shannon and Tamra maybe make up.
I would like to see that.
I think we've seen pictures of like Shannon and Heather together in this off season as well. So maybe we're going to get some better relationships for Shannon. But yeah, I mean, Dr. Jen, you gave us nothing. Bye.
Nothing. I actually forgot she existed.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, oh,
I was like, oh, right.
I could have made this announcement.
I forgot she existed while the show was still on.
Yeah. She didn't give us anything good.
No. But that's it.
Oh, that's it
for me.
Okay. Well, we've got some stuff going on the internet. Katie, what are you doing?
So I'm doing a couple of things. You can follow me pretty much everywhere at Real Slim Katie. Twitter, Instagram, those places. You can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/realslimkatie with an underscore. You could go ahead and drop a follow there if you would like to. It's free to do so, free to support. I'm all over the place on Silent Podcasts these days. So we picked up our Big Brother coverage this past week. We did our draft last Friday, which was actually a ton of fun. We had myself and Isaiah, and we also had Josh and Sabrina on as our correspondents. Lance and Josie were unable to make it this week, but they will be back on the coverage moving forward. We also kicked off some live feed coverage called Feed Bites. I actually did it all on my lonesome for the first one. So what we're going to do, the plan is right now is to do like 20 to 30 minute quick feed updates that'll just give you kind of the lay of the land, what's going on in the house before some of the things air on the show. It's actually really fun. We had some comments in the chat. Everybody was asking some questions, so that was really great. So those will be posted on YouTube live and Twitch as this is as I'm doing them, and then be released in podcast form. So check those out. They're not on a set schedule. It's really just like whenever the feeds are interesting and there's stuff to update you guys on. So sometimes it'll be me by myself. Sometimes we'll have guests. We'll see how it goes. Also covering the Challenge USA on TJ Hates Quitters with you, Kari, of course, which we had our first episode last week along with Tito, which was a ton of fun. So check that out. That's in your podcast feeds and also on YouTube. We're determining right now what's going to happen with Bachelorette coverage. I know we want to cover it. I think we're going to see how the first episode goes. So that could be coming as well. Myself and Tito and potentially Naomi or some others if they're interested. So check that out if you would like to. If it shows up, it may not. The Big Brother season that we have right now is really unfortunate. There's a lot of racism going on in the house. I'm just going to flat out say racism. A lot of people will say microaggressions, which there are microaggressions as well, but it also is just flat out racism that's going on and taking place. So it's been a rough season to watch so far. We're only literally on day 5. So it's been tough. It's been really, really rough as like a live feed watcher and a person that's engaged in the community. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's not an easy one to stick through. And we're only, like I said, only on day 5. So not great. But we're trying to get through it. We're trying to get through it.
This might be a dumb question for you, but
sure. Never a dumb question.
Do not challenge me, Katie. At my new job, people are like, no, there's no dumb questions. I'm like, trust me. I will surprise you one of these days. Did you watch the episode tonight or no because of Atlanta?
No, okay. I did not because of Atlanta.
Okay. Just because I'm interested to see how things were framed by CBS. And I don't know if
I assume they were not addressed at all. Okay. I will assume that they weren't. I mean, so for anyone, I'll dig into Big Brother for 25 seconds. But for anybody who didn't watch last season, we had that was the first season that casted with the CBS's new diversity initiative to have 50% of the cast be people of color. They're doing that across all of their shows, Survivor included. Survivor's doing a great job. Big Brother did a great job last season. We got a really good cast last season. Even the people who were not people of color were mostly good. We had a few duds, only like 2 or 3, but like overall, it was a really good cast. That led to the Cookout Alliance, who were the 6 Black cast members in the house, forming an alliance together and making sure that they had the first Black winner of Big Brother US, which we've never had before. We did on Celebrity. That doesn't really count. It's a spin-off show. And they are the most successful alliance in Big Brother history. They are the first alliance ever to get all 6 to final 6. So coming off of a season like that, and then, feeling like we're in this new era of Big Brother, things are changing for the better. We had a great cast last season. Things are looking up to immediately start with old Big Brother of like Big Brother 19 and Big Brother 21, where like the Black woman in the house gets completely isolated right at the start and is just, I mean, there's clips of Taylor in the house just sobbing last night by herself in a room. It's just really, really hard to watch, especially coming off of these seasons that have been so good. Big Brother 23, Big Brother Canada was great. Big Brother Canada 9 was great. It's disappointing to see us take so many steps back. I think we were hoping that this would be a new era. So to see this cast, they were underwhelming in their pictures. They're underwhelming on the show. Like I think we kind of knew they only got released like 24 hours before the show, which they've never done before. So it's kind of like, I think none of us had high hopes for it, but I don't think we thought it was ever going to be as bad as it is. So I think people have less tolerance for it now after obviously the cookout and what happened in Big Brother 23. It's just, there's just no excuse for this anymore.
Yeah.
There never was. Let me say there never was. But to go from that now backwards to this, it's just despicable. But CBS never really referenced the cookout the way that they should have on the show. They mentioned it, but they never really I don't feel like they gave them the flowers that they deserved for doing what they did. Probably because it just cast CBS in a negative light for having the show be on for 23 seasons and never have a black winner. So it's rough. It's rough being a Big Brother fan, as usual. Every summer, we do it to ourselves. It's tough. I don't know why we do it.
Yeah, it's been interesting to follow via Twitter. Like, I watched the first episode. I cannot tell you who. Like, I see Indy come up a lot. I don't know which one she is.
Brazilian.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that actually puts a lot of things into context for me. That
Indy seems cool, I guess. So
yeah, I don't watch the live feeds. I see what's happening on Twitter. I know a lot of people are very upset, and rightfully so. And I was just not interested enough to try and watch, because also I was watching Real Housewives of Atlanta, but just to see how they frame it in terms of what we have seen happening on live feeds. Because that's the thing about Big Brother, is you can't hide it. You can't hide what happens. It's not like any of these other shows where the editors, like, they do get to edit the TV show, but there is a group of people who spend all night up watching what happens and reporting what happens. You can't hide this stuff. So I just was interested to see how CBS would take this on, but I guess they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know if they did. I haven't seen anything on Twitter saying if they mentioned it or not. I feel like I probably would have seen something on Twitter if they did. So I'm assuming that they didn't. It's just hard, I think, in general right now to be a reality TV fan who wants to watch these shows, and you just constantly see these cast members being treated so terribly. It's happening in Real Housewives right now with Garcelle's kids. I mean, there's racism there. It's happening, with Crystal, and it's just kind of like, it just sucks. Yeah. It sucks because it's like, we want these shows to be more diverse, and it's a great thing that they're bringing in a more diverse cast, but it's just so hard to watch the more diverse cast members get treated the way they do sometimes. It's just unfortunate. And unfortunately, the white women in most cases, but the white people in general, just don't get held accountable the way that they should by these networks. It sucks. Julie is another one on Real World.
I thought you were going to talk about Julie Chen. I was like, don't get me started.
Oh, well, no.
Well, let me bring up the mood here. I'm not watching Big Brother, so you don't have to worry about coming to KGD26 on Twitter and seeing Big Brother shit. I'm trying to liven the mood up. I posted a nice little fun video of Nitro that, if you follow me on Instagram, I had actually posted a couple weeks ago, but just felt like the right thing to do today. So KGD26, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Venmo, you know the drill. I'm kind of like in a slow part right now for me, for podcasting, because we have our weekly Cool Water show. We've got TJ Hates Quitters. We just wrapped up, Katie and I, All Stars season 3. We covered the finale together. I accidentally forgot to put that up yesterday, so I uploaded it today. If you are interested to hear a story about how my life was threatened, it's at the beginning.
And the picture accompanied it.
I was like, do I put the TJ Hates Quitters or do I put me and Brad? Fuck it. I'm putting me and Brad. And then I'm slowly but surely working on my Tomboy Meets World project. So we have 1 episode recorded. You're not going to get any episodes until I get 4 recorded. So we'll get there, but that's coming soon. And otherwise, I'm not covering things. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to watch. I can't promise I'm going to try to watch Bachelorette, but maybe. It's like,
well, if you want to talk about it.
Because Love Island is on, and so, like, that's an everyday thing, and I'm far more interested in Love Island than I'll ever be in The Bachelorette.
As you should be, I'm sure.
We'll see. Maybe I'll watch and can jump in from time to time. But yeah, so I'm not doing a ton over here right now, but I'm doing enough, and that's what matters. In terms of listening to everything or watching everything, you can do that by following us on Twitter and Instagram. Not Instagram, just making shit up at this point. YouTube and Twitch. Search Silent Podcast. Our YouTube is freshly organized by Katie, so it's a much more approachable way to, if you want to go back and watch things in order, they're there. And we are on Twitter, silent_podcast. That's where you can see the picture of me and Brad. So if you're not following that, then like, what are you doing? You can also listen to us in podcast form, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you are into rating and subscribing and following and all that stuff, make sure you give us 5 stars. If this wasn't 5 stars, then listen to our next episode. It'll probably be 5 stars. And, you know, just say nice things about us. That's all we want.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
all.
It'll help us out.
Yeah. So until next week, well, you'll catch Katie and I on Thursday for TJ Hates Quitters, and then next week for Real Housewives, where we are again back with 3 episodes of coverage. So enjoy your day, week, month, whenever. I don't know. You know, just live your life. We support you.
Yes.
Bye.